So I call this why salespeople struggle. Okay. We're gonna take it way back. We're gonna take it from from the beginning, right? We're gonna take it way back. There is a lot of, if we really narrow this down, right? Like we looked at this, because here's the thing, why are we talking about sales? Like why is it for especially for the new guys? Because the business that you're getting into, the one thing that you have to remember is this is a marketing and sales business. You're not in real wholesaling itself. If you take wholesaling in a nutshell, it's a straight marketing and sales business, which means that you're going to market, whether it's a cold call, whether it's a text, whether it's a direct mail piece, whether it's PPC, whether it's whatever, door knocking to generate a lead. That is marketing, right? When the lead comes in, we call that's when the sales takes over, right? That's when conversion happens. So the one thing that you have to start understanding is that this is wholesaling in a nutshell is a marketing and sales business. It is not an investment business. You can take that, what you can take what you make, and you can take what you learn from wholesaling, and then now go out and find opportunities for you to invest in, right? That's when you start buying rentals, you start investing in bigger opportunities. But I will say this, I don't want to downplay wholesaling, because the joke I always say is that if you can get really good at sourcing a deal and converting that deal from an opportunity to an actually closed transaction, that's the thing that most people desire, right? Flippers dream of sourcing their own deals. That's why there's buyers for us, right? That's why you have the cash buyers. Because number one is they don't look for their own deals. Number two, they don't have the time. They don't have the skills to go out and look for deals, right? And so you have to make sure that you program this or write this somewhere if you haven't, or if you have not ever thought about it, that you're going to be going into a marketing and sales business. This is why it's important to understand this. And that's why I want to start here. And I like to present this, because I want you guys to start thinking just a little bit different, positioning yourselves just a little bit different when it comes to thinking about a sales position and salespeople. Because that's really acquisitions is sales position. That's really what you're going to be doing. And that's what we're going to be focusing on. Okay. So why do salespeople struggle to begin with, right? Especially when they start something new, when they start, looks like we got someone jumping in here. So why do salespeople struggle either when they're starting something new, right? Or sorry, when they're starting a new position? There is a lot of things that we can put on here, right? Like we can write a whole book, why salespeople struggle, right? But I narrowed it down to 3 that are very common and they're very obvious, but we still struggle for them. What's up, Philip? How you doing, man?
How's it going?
Good, brother. Welcome to the show.
Sorry, I'm late.
You're good, bro. You're good. You're right. You're at the right time. So we just got started. All right.
Okay.
Cool. So we can write a whole book, right, on why salespeople struggle. But like I said, I narrowed it down to three things that I think are crucial. They're very obvious as well. You're gonna be like, oh, that makes sense. But we don't really think about it, right? So the first thing is that, going back to what I said earlier, this is a marketing and sales business. That means that you have to continually work on your craft. And why salespeople struggle is because they don't take their craft serious. And so we have to, like I said earlier, especially for you guys that are new and those that are trying to elevate their game and trying to potentially get more deals per month, the more you work on your skill, the more you work on your craft, the more that the better that you get, right? And this is a big one. And this is what I was saying earlier, is a lot of people that get into that come into wholesaling, especially on the acquisition side, in order to have better success, higher conversion. We're not looking for perfection, never are. We're always looking for progress. How do we get better? Is they don't really work on their craft. They're only looking for what is the line, Max? You should see my DMs. If I showed you guys my DMs, you would be laughing. Max, what's the line so I can get the price reduction? Max, how do I get the seller to tell me their number first? Max, how do I? And I'm like, and I look at them and I say, well, what are you currently doing right now to get better? They're not working on their craft. They're not taking it serious, right? This one is a big one. This one is in the middle for a reason. I call this the reason why salespeople struggle is because they operate on an old belief system. I can tell you, and we're going to dive deep into each of these. So when and not believe, but belief, right? With the F. When you're in a sales position, or you're out negotiating, or you're basically, out there talking to prospects and you're negotiating deals, what I can tell you is, if you don't work on your belief system, which is basically your mindset, right? Work on those things to be able to reprogram yourself. And we're going to talk about some things that you can do in some books. I'm going to give you some books. When you're negotiating, you're trying to negotiate a property at 50, 50, 60 cents on the dollar. What I can tell you is that if you don't mentally prepare yourself like you deserve to negotiate a deal like that, your old belief system is going to kick in. And I can tell you, it's not going to consciously do it, but subconsciously it's going to speak in your ear, because it's happened to me. Like, hey, Max, what do you think? You deserve something like this? Like, hey, Max, like, why are you talking to strangers? Hey, Max, like, what are you doing? Like, so it's a dual process, right? We're talking about working on our craft, which is the sales skills. And then we also have to work on our mindset, which is to be able to reprogram our belief system. And I'm going to break that down in more detail here on the next couple of slides. This is the last one. They don't take enough action, right? Looking for information, more information, right? And we're going to change that. We're next week on Tuesday, when we go through the pass system, I'm going to give everyone actionable items that you can implement, like, as soon as you get off the call, right? So there's 3 things here, right? So why do salespeople struggle? They don't take their craft serious. A lot of them are still operating on an old belief system. So they struggle to realize, like, they deserve the all the success that they get. They deserve, pretty much, to make all the money that they can make. They deserve all the high level relationships. And if we don't rewire ourselves to think differently, we're going to go the opposite way. So it's very important to talk about this. And then the last thing is that we don't actually, they don't take enough action, right? We have to be conscious of that. This is why I narrowed it down to these 3 things, because, like I said, you could write a whole book on why salespeople struggle, but these 3 things stood out because they're the most obvious. They're the most, they're the ones that you can actually go and change right now. All right. So let's talk about not taking your craft serious, right? We've all heard this, right? If you don't respect your craft, the craft won't respect you. This goes for everything too, right? This goes for, people that work in trades, teachers. This phrase applies to every single person that does something for a living, right? So it applies to us as well too. And even though, and you guys are going to hear me say this a lot, social media ruins a lot of good phrases, right? and unfortunately, that's the reality we live in, right? A lot of these phrases are watered down, even though they have a real meaning, or it's an in-depth meaning, but social media has watered a lot of these down. And we've heard this a lot, right? If you don't respect your craft, the craft won't respect you, especially in our position. And on Tuesday, you're going to find out why we have to start taking our craft serious. Because what I can tell you, making calls day in, day out, getting yelled at, getting hung up on, getting cussed out at is not fun, but we still have to do it, especially if we have goals to hit, right? And this is why the better you get at your craft, the more you respect it, your craft is going to respect you by giving you the results that you need. You have to start looking at it that way. And I'm going to provide you guys with books, resources, everything that way, and gals, by the way. So that way you start getting better. So I was talking a little bit about my DMs, right? A lot of people DMing me, a lot of people asking me, like, Max, what's the one-liner? What's the phrase that gets the seller to move from here? Hey, the seller's ghosted me. How do I get them back on track? I call and these are the people that I know and I see doing that because I know them. They've been following me for a while on IG or they're on my YouTube channel. They don't take their craft serious. So what I call is average salespeople only look for the Band-Aid and the quick fixes, right? They don't build a system to be able to follow day in, day out. They're not working on their craft. They're not doing anything to try to improve, right? They're looking for the one-liners. They're looking for the punchlines, top phrases, all that. I've seen it. I've seen it all, right? Like, and so remember, what we want to do, we want to move from being in the average position to being high performance. We're going to move into the high performance closer level, right? And that's why you're here. That's why you're sitting in front of me, right? We want to make sure that we move from the average level thinking. And I'm not saying that you guys are average, but we don't want to stay there, right? We want to make sure that we develop habits and behaviors that are going to help us. And I actually just gave you guys the next one. And here's the bad news, right? Like acquiring new information won't improve sales performance. That's something that you need to program in your mind. Even what I'm teaching you today, even what I'm talking about today, acquiring this information is not going to improve your sales performance. So what will? Behaviors. You got to do the behaviors. You have to do the work, right? And then like I said, on Tuesday, when we go through the pass system, when you get off that call, I'm going to guarantee you right now that you're going to have actionable items to be able to go out and start executing. So can't wait to show you guys that. Any questions on here before I move on to the next slide?